Right, since, you know who is doing you know what to, well, you know everybody, let's just have some fun this time and continue my hashtag best series ever on that One Ray Comfort / Kirk Cameron video.
What did you put those leaves like that for?
I don't know. What's going on? And how dare you accuse me of doing anything to leaves? I feel like we may need some context here.
One day when I was running to work, I stopped for a break under the avocado tree, and I looked down and I saw there were 7 leaves on the ground. So I bent down and put them in a straight line. Went into my office and sat down and waited for my wife to come in and say what I thought she'd say. It was very predictable. She walked in, sat down and said, "What did you put those leaves like that for?"
Damn it, that doesn't make it much better. Ugh. Now I just remember you make terrible and ironically, at least to this exact point, extremely predictable points. Almost as predictable as my jokes. Kill all humans, penis joke, I like whiskey, I'm handsome maybe, I'm stupid definitely, buy my shirt. I'm sorry, I zoned out there for a minute.
See, there was no way her reasoning mind could believe that 7 leaves fell off the avocado tree and fell into a straight line of 7 leaves.
No way? What is she, stupid? Don't answer that, the poor thing's married to you. That's got to be valid cause for government assistance, stroke some kind of grant to help deal with, well, you.
She knew that an intelligent mind, mine...
Holy crap, that is a fantastic point. Well made there, Ray. Thank you. Although trying to claim that he has an intelligent mind is actually proof that something like that could happen by pure chance. Because, well, do you really think he's actually capable of lining up some objects in a straight line on purpose? No, that was pure random luck that it happened the way that you wanted to. You might as well have tried to reorganise them using an industrial leaf blower. But there they are, or so you claim, in a straight line. Quite remarkable, the kinds of things that can happen via pure chaos, isn't it?
Had put them there. And when you look at creation, we see order throughout the whole of creation. From the atom through to the universe, the flowers, the birds, the trees, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything has order to it.
Everything? Everything. If everything has order, how can order even exist? It would just be how things are. And what about disorder? I mean, that's a word that exists, and according to you, there are no things, at least I'm assuming you mean in regards to natural occurrences, that are disordered. And I would wonder what the many victims of natural disasters would have to say to you about that. That order in the universe, those things that all end up doing the same or similar things, is more about the constituent makeup of the universe. There are things that at their most basic level fit together, so eventually they do. And the things that form from them fit together in different ways and under different circumstances and so on and so forth until you have people. Now, that is a huge oversimplification, and whether or not that is by design is basically impossible to prove, at least for now, but as far as I'm concerned, it is irrelevant until you can tell me who designed it like that, with better reasoning than, well, this book says he did it.
Let's look at it from a different angle.
Look at what? Oh god, this better not be you in the cars again. That last episode has scarred me for life.
If I say to you, there is no God.
Right, okay, he said it, guys. Finally, we can finish this up now and definitely not watch the rest of the video. We can all just move on with our lives and... oh, dear God, no. What are you doing?
That's called an absolute statement.
Well, you're called an absolute butt plug. And yes, that is an absolute statement, and I don't care.
In order for me to make an absolute statement and be right, I have to have absolute knowledge. I have to know everything about that subject.
No, you don't. You can make absolute statements about absolutely, haha, get it, anything with any amount of knowledge and still be correct. A cutesy example of this is from The Lion King. No, not the Tiger King. Everyone won't shut up about that show, and that is, well, not really cute. In The Lion King, a warthog known as Pumbaa, or Mr. Pig, I would put a clip in, but that's a Disney property and I ain't crazy, is discussing the nature of stars with his friends and ponders aloud that perhaps they are huge balls of gas. And while that's not entirely accurate, for a jungle-dwelling anthropomorphic piggy, that's pretty damn close, and is of course the joke. And the thing is, people make accurate inferences all the time. In fact, your boy Ray's wife made one earlier in a totally true story that actually happened and is true, TM. She did not have all the information in regards to who had been in a likely very accessible part of her property, but she came to the correct conclusion that he had moved the leaves. Not because any number of things could have been true instead, but because it was pretty likely. That's what scientists do about many things in the universe. They figure out what is the most likely reason for things to be the way they are, usually by finding evidence to that effect and following its lead. And then, when all evidence points to the same place, you can be completely correct without knowing literally everything.
Let me give you an example of another absolute statement. If I say to you, there is no gold in China,
I would assume you were completely out of your goddamn mind. Not only because I know gold exists, because I have, seen it, it's also a very common element. Now, you could say there is no me in China, which would be a very awkward way of saying I am not in China. And that could be true. I mean, the gold thing could be true. But compared to the me claim, me not being there is far more likely to be true. A thing to think about though is, if we take the two statements and we say the more likely answer is the true one, like I am not in China is true or no gold in China is true, well then I gotta go with the person not being there. And if you compare that to say your particular God being real to your particular God not being real, well, you're in a bit of a pickle, aren't you, sweetie?
in order for that to be true, I have to know everything about China. I have to know what's under every rock. I have to know what's inside of every rock, inside every jewelry store, and what's inside every Chinese person's mouth to see if there's any gold in there, in a filling, in a stone, in a ring.
Look, you're right, for once. A lot of definitive statements are silly. I believe anyone who says God is definitely 100% not real, and isn't just me saying God doesn't real to annoy people. Oh, by the way, God doesn't real, FYI. Anyone saying God is not real is being silly, because they don't know. And I want to know, in all honesty, would you say you don't know if God is really real, that there's a chance that you are wrong and the reasons you have for believing are faulty? Because if you can't do that, you are categorically just as silly as those who declare 100% to the negative without actually knowing.
I have to have all knowledge of China to make that absolute statement that there's no gold. However, if I want to make the statement there is gold in China, I don't have to have all knowledge of China. I just have to have a little knowledge. I just need to see one person's gold filling. I have to see one piece of gold, and I can say with confidence there is gold in China.
Oh, dude, that would not go well for you, because that person would just turn around and say, well, do you think there is a God? Well, do you have all the knowledge to make that absolute statement? That is not an argument for God. It is an argument that no one knows. And I agree. Best err on the side of not believing in something I don't actually have any solid proof for. Eh?
So for a person to say there is no God, to make that absolute statement, they have to have all knowledge or be omniscient. And nobody is. Even the brilliant scientist Thomas Edison said,
"We do not know 1/1,000,000th of 1% about anything."
Yeah, well, he would say that. That elephant electrocuting nutter. I mean, there's much easier ways to cook your elephant. I throw mine into volcanoes. Gives them a nice sulphury zing.
When I meet an atheist,
I have to assume you have to wait for them to get off the ground from laughing. I mean, that banana thing is just a classic and everyone thinks of it as soon as they see you.
I like to give him the atheist test. I say, can I give you the atheist test? He says, yeah, go ahead.
Personally, I do not usually agree to random tests from people. I did that once at the doctor's and, well, they told me I drink too much. Switched doctors quick fast after that kind of slanderous nonsense. I tell you what.
I said it begins with 2 questions. Kind of strange questions, but they're most necessary.
Are they going to be malformed? Or just like, really, really, really dumb?
The first question is, could you please tell me how many pieces of sand are on the combined islands of Hawaii? He goes, what? I said, do you know? He says, no, I don't. Second question. Can you please tell me how many hairs are on the back of a fully grown male Tibetan yak? He says, what? I said, do you know? He says, no, I don't.
Okay, so just really, really, really dumb. You know those aren't questions that are impossible to know the answers to, right? I mean, they would be approximations for sure, but knowing approximately and being pretty close is a lot closer to knowing than it is to not knowing at all. Like, massively so.
Now these are necessary, these questions, because there are some people who think they know everything. God used a similar principle with Job. He asked Job 70 questions, one after the other, until in essence, Job laid his hand upon his mouth and said, boy, I hardly know anything.
Were they all stupid questions like yours? Because again, just because I don't know something right this second doesn't mean I can't find or figure it out. Given the right technology, there's a good chance there isn't anything we couldn't figure out in the universe and perhaps beyond. But no, because I don't know something right this second, then anything you can make up must be true too, because that makes sense. Also,
boy, I hardly know anything.
I'm keeping that.
So, here is the test. Let's say this circle represents all the knowledge in the universe.
How much of that do you know, Ray?
Boy, I hardly know anything.
LOL.
Someone who is omniscient, who has all knowledge, knows everything about everything. They know how many hairs are on every head, every thought of every heart, every atom is displayed before them, all history is before their eyes.
And yet at no point did omniscient God predict like a crap ton of stuff even from his own book. You think they would have written out those plot holes, but for someone who obviously knew all about them, it's super weird that they're still there. I would almost say it's like he's not omniscient at all. Or the real.
They know all about the secret love life of the fleas on the back of Napoleon's great-grandmother's black cat. They're omniscient. They know everything.
Wow, way to make omniscience sound super lame and horrible. Just imagine all the gross, messed up sex crap people are doing all the time. And you know it. It's all in your head. All at once. Sucks to be God, I guess.
Let's say, Mr. Professing Atheist, you know an incredible 1% of all the knowledge in the universe.
I think we all know how much I know. That's right. 110% of all the knowledge in the universe. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to add the minus. Yep, I know so little it comes back around to me being the smart. Take that, science!
Is it possible in the 99% of the knowledge you haven't yet come across, there is ample evidence to prove that God exists?
Yeah, and it's just as possible that it doesn't. What's your point, Ray? Assuming that you actually have a point, or have ever had a point, and these aren't just the inane ramblings of an idiot. Says I, knowing the true answer because of my all-knowing dumb.
And if you're reasonable, you'll have to say, well, it is possible in the knowledge I haven't yet come across, there is ample evidence to prove that God does exist. So he's forced to say, well, with the limited knowledge that I have at present, I've come to the conclusion there's no God, but I really don't know.
So like 99.9% of atheists then. Wow, what a win for your team, getting someone to admit something they would more than likely freely admit and in no way, shape or form is anything even approaching proof for God. Well done. Next you'll get them to admit that in fact they breathe air and obtain energy from food. That'll show 'em.
That's right. He's not technically an atheist.
Oh, don't you make me do it. I'm so sick of repeating the same bit of information over and over again to both theists and atheists alike who don't know how to words or that things have definitions and meanings.
He's an agnostic.
Oh, you motherfucker!
He's a person who doesn't know if there's a God.
So are you. Or are you seriously trying to tell me that you have all knowledge in the universe, including there's no information that absolutely refutes the existence of God? Everyone is an agnostic to an unprovable claim. Gnostic/agnostic just means knowledge. Atheist just means someone who is without theism. It's that simple, and I will blow up this goddamn universe if anyone tries to correct me on that when they don't know what they're talking about again. Okay? Good. I'm sure that will totally stop them.
He's like the person that looks at a building and says, I don't know if there was a builder.
Oh, are you seriously still on that? Okay, it's in the previous video, so go watch that. It's funny. But the gist is that you can't know if a building has a builder because they aren't there right this second. The holes in that premise are so obvious and big that you could drive a bus through it with all the windows covered up. Put simply, buildings have builders you can find. We don't know of any universe builders, so the comparison is completely asinine. Thank you.
We're now going to go to a clip of a real live atheist. We found one, Kirk.
You did?
Yeah. So watch what happens. There's 3 things to look for.
Well, I guess this will be as good a place as any to end this video, isn't it? Look forward to the next time on Ray Does a Big Smart All in His Pants, when we get to see him strawman atheism yet again with a live subject this time. And I am sure that if it's not one of his mates that he got to pretend to be one, it'll actually be the very cream of the crap. I'm sorry, I meant crop of intellectuals that can do the braining good. See you next time. Guys, don't forget to panic buy sick brand merch. What if you need to let people know that you are handsome, famous and good at the sex in a variety of tasteful colours? Buy as many as you can afford now before this thing that's printed to order runs out. Also, you can use it as toilet paper if needs be. You never know when you're going to need to wipe your arse.